Good afternoon. This is Robert at Scott Leroy Marketing. We're going to get started with our Placester 101 class here. Before we do, I never did get any response from my sound check a few minutes ago, so if you'll look up at the very top of your screen, you should have these same 5 buttons I do. If you'll click on this one just to the left of center to open up the chat window here, if you can hear me, definitely sound off there in the chat window just to make sure that my microphone is working. I want to make sure that everybody can hear me and I'm not just talking to myself. While you guys are responding to that, I do want to send over a couple of instructions there in the chat window. This class is recorded along with all of our previous Placester 101 and 201 classes at slmtraining.com. Okay, got a couple of people saying they can hear me. Beautiful. If you are having trouble listening on your computer and you'd like to call in, we've got that number there, excuse me, and it's been flashing along on the screen for the last couple of minutes as well. And then before we get started, make sure you're using any browser besides Microsoft Internet Explorer or Apple Safari. Internet Explorer was retired about 3.5 years ago. It's not supported by nearly anyone anymore. So you would want to use a newer browser like Microsoft Edge if you're on Windows 10, or if you're on Windows 8 or 7, you would use Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or any other browser besides Internet Explorer. And then since September 7th of this year, when KW International changed the login system for MyKW, Safari has had issues getting into Placester as well. So again, you would want to use Chrome or Firefox. And then lastly, before we get started, this is a follow along class. So you're going to be clicking where I click, you're going to be doing what I do, you're going to be typing what I type basically. So make sure that you're in front of your computer so that you can do the things that we're doing. And if they're ever unclear on anything, if there's anything I skipped or you don't have a good explanation of or something like that, sound off here in the chat window to let me know, and I can answer any questions that you have as we go along. Alrighty, let me minimize our slideshow here. Our first step, and I should have done this before we got started, our first step is going to be to get logged into our mykw.kw.com homepage. And let me get logged in here as Scott. So your KW website powered by Placester is not accessed by logging into Placester.com. You don't have a Placester username and password. It's actually accessed here through mykw.kw.com, and it's not accessed either by logging into the front page of your website. It has to be done here through MyKW. Once you're on your MyKW homepage, up in the very top black menu, we'll hover over Technology. Then we'll click this third one down, which is KW Websites. On this page here, you should have a red button that says go to my website. It should say your website is ready, go to my website. If this isn't here, instead in this spot will be instructions for how to activate the site. That's something that your MCA has to do. It's not something you have the power to do, nor is it something that we have the power to do. Your MCA, your Market Center Administrator, the person at your Market Center who's responsible for getting commission checks to agents, they have to do something on their end in order to activate your Placester site. So you'd want to double check with your MCA and make sure they've done that. Once they do that, within roughly 24 hours, you'll get this button and be able to go edit your Placester site. So if you don't have that button yet, you're welcome to listen along and take notes so that you're prepared for when you are ready to set up your Placester site, or you can just wait until the next first Wednesday of the month, or you can watch this recording again at slmtraining.com. So if you do have the red button, let's click go to my website. And this will take us into the Placester interface. Eventually. All right, once we're here in Placester, let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see. You guys might have some tiles across the top here that say almost there or not quite or something like that. You can ignore those tiles. We're going to be taking care of most of those things as we go through the class, and anything we don't take care of is optional, and you may or may not need to actually do those. Oh, my space heater's turning on. Give me just a minute. Okay, don't need distractions. So here on our Placester homepage, the first thing we want to do is launch our site. By default, your site is not launched, it's not live, it's not ready for clients to start using. If someone were to visit your site address, which we'll cover later, I'll show you where to find that. But if someone were to visit your site address, they would see a coming soon message. So instead on the left, before that on the left, we have to click launch site. Once we click Launch Site, it takes us here to the list of sites that are inside our Placester account. For the vast majority of agents, there should just be one site on this page. There are a couple of exceptions to that though. One is, like Scott here, if you're a member of the commercial division, you get an additional Placester site for the commercial division. Same for Farm and Ranch, same for, actually I think that's it, same for Farm and Ranch. You used to get an additional site for luxury, but since luxury listings are still residential listings, now what they do is they just provide a new theme to your existing residential site for luxury agents. So unless you're a member of commercial or Farm and Ranch, you should just have one site in this list. The two other reasons that you would have two sites in this list is every once in a while, the Placester system, for no reason that we can discern, generates a second free site that you can use, and you're welcome to use that second site if you want to. You can delete it over here on the right if you want and just have the one site so that you're not confused there. And then the other reason there might be another site in this list is if somehow you ended up on this page and you clicked this plus sign here to create an additional site. We don't need to do that. KW agents are supposed to only have one free site unless there's that weird glitch where it gives you another one. And if you do click this plus sign and try to create another site, it will ask you for payment when you try to launch that site. You only get one site through what KW is providing for you. So one question I get sometimes is, how do I get to this list? How do I see this page if my site is already launched? What you would do is up in the very top right of your screen, you'd click on this grid of 9 squares, and then you click on Sites, and that is this page here. So once we've launched our site and we're here on the list of sites, next to the one that we just launched, and then like I said, should just be one, we'll click on Edit Site. That's going to take us into the site settings page here inside Placester. Excuse me. That's where we're going to spend all of our time here in this Placester 101 class. We're not going to cover pages, blog posts, testimonials, or areas. That's covered in Placester 201, which we'll be doing next week, or again is recorded at slmtraining.com. So today we're just working here in site settings. That's this page that we're on currently, and we're just going to work basically from top to bottom. Starting at the top here, we've got IDX integration. IDX, if you aren't familiar, stands for Internet Data Exchange, and that's just a fancy way of saying the MLS feed to your site. It's feeding listings from your local MLS to your website, and that connection, that feed, is called IDX. By default, what's going to be turned on is the KWLS. That's the Keller Williams Listing Service, and that's only KW listings. It's all listings across the company, but it's only KW listings. Instead, what you'd like to do to show listings outside of KW is to have your actual local MLS as the IDX feed that your site is using. So what we would want to do is, and this is a funny thing that's happening with Placester in the last couple of weeks, and this is the best way that we've found to deal with it. By default, the KWLS is on. If we click on this switch, it'll turn off, and now we have to go save this. We used to be able to just turn the other one back on and it would be fine, but now we have to go save this, and then we have to come back into IDX integration and turn on your local MLS board. Now you notice over here it says region Oregon. Arkansas is nowhere near Oregon, so we're actually going to remove this region. There's no reason to select a region anymore. It used to be, but it's not anymore. So we'll remove that, and if it selects a region that is different from your actual region, just click remove, and it's best practice just to click remove anyway, and then make sure to save it. Now about that save button, that green save button is on everything we do here in Placester. Any changes that you make, you have to click the green save button or they're not applied. You would, if you exit it without clicking save, those changes aren't applied and you'd have to go redo them. So make sure you save your changes as you make them. Once you've got your IDX integration, one thing about IDX integration, not every agent is going to have their local MLS listed on that page. And in that case, what would need to happen is an IDX request would need to be sent. In the vast majority of cases, that's something that your market center leadership is going to need to help you with. There are a handful of offices that we do IDX for, but in most cases, you would want to reach out to your market center leadership first. They're the ones that are going to be able to help you with that request to get IDX here on your website. And once that request is submitted, it can take anywhere from 2 to 3 days to 2 to 3 weeks to process. And that's 100% totally completely dependent on Placester and on the MLS. Once the request is submitted, it's out of your or our hands. It has to be handled by Placester or the MLS. So if you want information on the status of your request and why it might be taking so long, you would check with Placester or with your MLS. If you're unclear on how IDX works with your site, I'm sending over a link here for information about the 3 IDX feeds that you're supposed to have as a KW agent. Placester is one of those, and the other 2 are eEdge and WolfNet for your KW app. And that page explains in detail each one of those. And then also in that IDX integration section, if your MLS is listed, but it doesn't give you the option to turn it on, instead it says pending, you're going to have to reach out to Placester directly to figure out what's leaving that as pending. So that I'm sending you the email address to contact them there. That's data, D-A-T-A, D as in dog, A, T as in Tom, A, ops, O, P as in Paul, S as in Sam, at placester.com. By the way, before we move too much further, the site, the company is pronounced Placester, P-L-A-C-E-S-T-E-R. It's not Placesetter, it's not Placaster, it's not Placester, Placester. It's pronounced like play, you're playing out in the yard, and stir like you stir a drink, Placester, or Placester. Okay, so we just finished with the IDX integration. We're going to skip global filters for the time being because global filters is kind of finicky, and you want to be very careful with what you're doing in global filters because this controls what listings are possible to be found anywhere on your site. So if you get too particular here in global filters, people aren't going to be able to find the listings that they're looking for. For example, say you put in global filters, you narrowed it down to just one listing. You narrowed it down to your listing, the one that you have active currently. If anyone were to go search on your site, your listing is the only listing that would be able to be found anywhere, no matter what they searched for. Whatever zip code, whatever beds and baths, whatever price range, your listing would be the only one to be able to be found if you set that in global filters. So our recommendation in most cases is just leave global filters alone. There are a couple of specific instances where you might want to change it to show only a certain region or a certain price range or something like that. But in most cases, you want to leave global filters alone. And if you want more information about working with that, you can shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can get you more information on that. Instead, we're going to jump down here to featured listings. This is the one that people actually want to work with when they think they want to work with global filters most of the time. Featured listings controls what listings show on the home page of your site. This is not controlling what can be found. This is just showing what displays on your home page before people get to the listing search page. And here you can be pretty specific. You can show just your listings. You can show just your office's listings. You can show just a particular zip code. You can show just a particular price range, just certain beds and baths, just a certain neighborhood, a certain subdivision, a certain luxury area maybe. You can be very specific here in featured listings. We're going to totally ignore specific listings because if you were to use that, you would need to come in here each and every day and manually decide which listings are going to go on your homepage and which ones need to be removed as they come off the market. So we're going to just skip that. This filtered listings automatically applies whatever criteria we put here to show on your homepage. And we're going to get into a little bit more detail here. We do have a separate class on featured listings here, and if you want information about that, we can get that to you as well. But just really quickly, let's pretend that I am a luxury agent. And I've got my luxury theme and everything, and I want to work at a certain price point and above. So what I would want to do is show on my home page just listings that are over maybe $500,000, $750,000, something like that. So here in this minimum price field, I would put 500,000. And that would show just listings that are over that 500,000 mark, which there are only 16 in this particular MLS that Scott is a member of. What we could also do is, okay, say I only want to work in, the area that my office, or excuse me, the zip code that my office is in. So I'm going to go look up an Arkansas zip code. 72002. We'll just throw that one in there. So there are 217 listings in the 72002 zip code. You could also come down here to add search criteria and say, okay, I only want to show listings on my home page that are related to or that are in such and such high school area. It's a good high school, high-priced homes that are in that area. It's a safe area. It sells fast, that kind of thing. So you would search for the name of that high school. And okay, apparently high school was a bad example. Let's say a specific subdivision, so specific neighborhood. So we're going to search for Jonesboro East. I did this in a class the other day. So pretend, I want to show on my homepage Jonesboro East listings. We'll search that, and it shows me, that zip code. By the way, these are additive. These, what are they called? Criteria here. Whatever you put in boxes, if you have multiple boxes up here, that means we want minimum baths of 2 and zip code 72002 and neighborhood Jonesboro East. If Jonesboro East is not in 72002, no listings would show. And if there are no two bathroom listings in Jonesboro East, no listings would show. So you want to be kind of careful there when you're working with that. That's why it showed me no listings a minute ago. Now that I've removed that zip code restriction, now it's going to show me there are 12 listings in Jonesboro East. And I can filter that down further by price or by beds or maybe by amenities or things like that. Under the different criteria that you can add, by the way, in this criteria section, you can add in just your agent ID or your office's ID just to show your listings or your office's listings. You can do individual listings here. You can put in one listing's MLS ID and only that listing would show on your homepage. Not sure why you would do that. You've got your built, beds, baths, property type, prices, amenities, all that fun stuff. Let's pretend we just want Jonesboro East with a pool. I think that's lying to me. I don't think all of these homes have pools, but let's pretend they do. You can apply that here in featured listings and that would show on the homepage. Under that, we've got this default sort here. By default, this is supposed to be price highest. I forgot to set that back after I reset Scott's site. By default, the listings that are shown on the homepage are going to be highest price first. So if you don't do anything at all here in featured listings, it's going to show the highest price listings in your entire MLS. So if you don't have your actual MLS connected, it's only the KWLS, this is going to show $20, $30 million huge land development listings in like California or New York or Texas or whatever. So you would want to come here and filter that down some. If you are connected to your local MLS, this is going to show probably multi-million-dollar listings first because, again, by default, it's highest price first. But you can sort it by these other options as well. Days on site newest is the freshest listings that meet these criteria that are in the MLS. And then just in opposite, days on site oldest are the stalest listings that meet these criteria in the MLS. So maybe you want people to say, you want to tell people, okay, these listings are, they've been on the market a while, you might be able to get a deal on them. Year built oldest, year built newest, beds and baths most, that kind of thing. So you can choose that and you can change this. By the way, any changes you make to your site are instantaneous. There is no waiting period, there's no delay. You make a change, it's immediately applied on your site. So you can change this as often and as many times and whenever you want. And then under that, we've got this default results per page, 10, 20, and 50. This goes to a specific page type that we cover in our Placester 201 class. What it does is it takes these criteria that you set here in the featured listings section and it creates a page just for those listings. So it shows more than 4 of them like it does on the home page. So if you want more information about that, check out our Placester 201 class. Once you've got your listings narrowed down here, in what am I talking about here? In your featured listings section, you want to make sure to go ahead and click save down at the bottom. I'm just going to use that Jonesboro East neighborhood there. Placester has been doing this recently. I don't know why it takes us back to the list of sites. It's supposed to take us back here to the site settings page, but when it does take you to that list of sites, just click on edit site, you'll end up back here. We're not going to cover open house info. That's a paid feature. That's not covered in what you get from KW. Theme selection here is where you change the look and feel and colors and things of your site. This is as much customization as your site offers. You can't choose fonts, you can't choose sizes, you can't choose header images, you can't choose a lot of the things that agents ask about. You only get to choose what is on this page. You choose your layout based on your theme. So like this Franklin layout is different from the Phoenix layout, is different from the Fremont layout, is different from the Sedona layout. Here's where you change where things are arranged on the page. You can't drag and drop. So say, come back here to our Madison theme here, your picture shows up here in the top right. You don't want it to show there. Too bad, it has to if you're using the Madison theme. You can't click and drag it down here next to featured properties. You can't put it on the opposite side of the screen. What you see is what you get here with these themes. So you just choose whichever theme puts your picture in the place that you want, or whichever theme puts the search bar in the place that you want, which would be down here, or whichever theme shows your social media icons in the place that you want. That's how you change where things are positioned on your site. Now, one thing about choosing your theme, you'd never want to choose your theme based on whatever this image is here above or behind the search bar. Like this image of, suburbia right here, that's right behind the search on this homepage. You can change this image. You don't choose your theme based on this image right here. You choose it based on the general overall layout, whether you like it or not, because we're going to be controlling this image in the very next section that we cover. So I'm going to go back here to the Madison theme. This one is KW specific, so is the Madison Metro. It's just a little bit cleaner, white background instead of red. And these are, they have some features that the other, what are they called, themes don't have. So if we scroll down here, most themes will let you choose a color or a color combination to be predominant. Like if I jump over here to our Plymouth theme here, if I click on this orange, it shows me, okay, the title and this button and these words over here are going to be orange. For the Toronto one, if I click this red and gray one here, we've got red with gray accents or vice versa. So that's how you can choose colors on your site, and that's it. That's the only option you have for color. I'm going to choose this gray. I really like this gray, and you can see a preview of whatever color you choose up here. Down here for the Madison theme, this one is specific to just the Madison, not the Madison Metro. You can choose whether your top header section is a solid color, this color that you've chosen here, so all gray up here or all orange or all blue or whatever, or whether it's white with accents of whatever color you've chosen here. And it won't show you that here in the preview. It looks something like this, except wherever you see red, it would show this gray or orange or green or whatever you've chosen here. And then lastly on this page, right here where it says the best place to find your home, you can tell it what to display here instead. By default, this is what it'll say, and if you leave this box blank, that's what it will continue to say. It will always say something here. You can't clear it out, but you can replace this with something else. And typically we put in something like your home search starts here. So, and that's up to 60 characters. Any longer than 60 characters, it would just stop letting you type. This, you can't change the size, you can't change the placement, you can't change the font, you can't change the color. It's always going to be white, big, right here in the center, tiny bit of drop shadow. You can't move it, you can't change the color. So once we make our changes, we'll click Save down here at the bottom. And at this point, we're going to go preview the site just to go see what it looks like. So once this page reloads, up here near the top right, we'll click on View Live Site to go see what Scott's site looks like currently. So we've got our Madison theme applied. We chose the white background with the gray accents. So that's what it's showing me here in my social media icons and my menu buttons and my search button and all that. And here is what I put in that slideshow section. Your home search starts here. It's always going to be white, always going to be right there, always going to be that size, always going to be that font face. Okay, coming down here to slideshow, this is where we choose these images that are sliding through here behind the search bar. Like I said, you don't choose your theme based on that image. You decide what those images are. By default, what's going to be selected here is the Highland slideshow here. This is kind of a new one from Placester, and I think it looks really good. In most cases, we would recommend just leaving this unless you have specific images you want to use instead. You can also scroll down the list here, and you can choose some of the other slideshows that Placester has provided for you. You would just select whichever one you want to use, like this variety right here. We click Select. And once you select a slideshow, you can edit it. You can remove some of the images. You can replace them. You can change what the caption down at the bottom right says. You can apply a link to an individual image. Each image can have its own link and its own caption if you want to. Once you make any of your changes, you can also delete them or upload new ones. Once you make your changes, you would click Save to apply that new slideshow that you just created or just edited to your site. You can also create a new slideshow from scratch using the plus sign here. One thing to remember about the Placester sites here, anytime you see this plus sign, that means create another one of whatever it is we're looking at here, whether it's a slideshow or a page or a blog post or a testimonial or an areas page. So right here we're in a slideshow, so we click this plus sign and we can create our own slideshow from scratch, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to call this class slideshow. And I'm going to upload 5 images. Now, one of the things that I want to point out about the slideshow is 100% of the time you want your images to be a lot wider than they are tall. Computer screens are wider than they are tall. These sites are laid out wider than they are tall. So you want your slideshow images to be wider than they are tall, or else funny things will happen. And I'll show you what they look like. To get more information about what size your images need to be, over on the right, you see this link here that says, please visit this help article for image resizing tips and to learn ideal slideshow dimensions for each Placester theme. Placester has individual information about what size your images need to be depending on the theme that you've chosen. So, and they also have instructions for how to crop and resize your images to fit that size. So we're not going to go over that in this class. Placester already has that covered over here on the right. So I'm going to upload 5 different images here. So I got to go to my Google Drive. I moved things, and it takes a little bit more time to get there. Main slideshow. So I've got 5 different images here. I found these images online. They're free. Oh, by the way, forgot to send you guys this. For specific dimensions on the slideshow for the Madison theme or the Madison Metro theme, they're not listed on this article, so I just sent you guys the link for where that is listed on the Placester site, the Placester support site. And then if you want information about where to find free images to use on your website, we have a class just for that. You would just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. We can send that to you. So for each image, we can apply a caption. And we can also apply a link if we want to. So for the links that you put on these images, they do have to have the HTTP://. It goes back and forth in different places across KW. This is one of the ones that does require this. In other places, it doesn't. I'm going to upload 5 more images here, 4 more. Come on. Now you'll notice some of these images are not wider than they are tall. This one right here is a little bit wider than it is tall, but it's not a lot wider than it is tall, and that's going to show some funny stuff on the site. This one down here is much, much taller than it is wide, and that's going to show even funnier on the site, and I'll show you what that looks like once we get there. Once you've got your images uploaded and any captions or links that you want applied, you'll scroll down to the very bottom and again make sure to click Save to apply it to your site. Once that's saved, you can come back to your site and refresh it, and you would see that new slideshow on the home page once it loads. There we go, got our new slideshow, got our nice hot air balloon here. If we click over to this one, this is going to show me my boots on the dock with the boats above it. Oh wait, there's no dock, there's no boats. That's because this image was not cropped properly. It's not enough wider than it is tall. You want it to be, if you look on the screen here, this is about 3 or 4 times as wide as it is tall. So you want to crop these much, much wider than they are tall. That's just what happens when images aren't the correct dimensions. If they're too tall, it cuts off the top and the bottom and only shows the middle 600 pixels. Now, if your image is too wide, if it's more than however many pixels it says, it actually just shrinks it. It just scales it down in proportion. Nothing funny happens. It just makes it fit widthwise in the page here. But if it's too tall, like I said, it cuts it off top and bottom. Let's go over to our lighthouse here. I think it's this one. Yep, this is our lighthouse image. You can barely tell this is a lighthouse. You can see maybe it's a nice sunset and some kind of pillar here. What is this? You can't tell because this image is portrait orientation. It's wider than it is tall. Excuse me, it's taller than it is wide. It's vertical. So again, you want those images to be much wider than they are tall. I think I've said that enough times. Okay. Coming down to back on our Placester interface here, we just finished with slideshow. Looking at certifications, this is where you can choose your certifications that you've earned. Don't click a certification that you haven't earned. If you're in the United States, you're required to show the Equal Housing Opportunity logo on your site. And then if you're a member of a board of realtors or an association of realtors, you're required to show the National Association of Realtors logo on your site. So that leaves room for 4 more designations that you can choose to show on your site. So I'm just going to click these 4 here just to show what they look like. Once you select your designations, you can tell they're selected by the blue box around them. Make sure to scroll to the top or the bottom and click Save. Once those are applied, you can refresh the home page on your site, and these are going to show in different places depending on the theme that you've chosen. If you're using the Madison theme, it shows them down at the very, very bottom here, and they are alphabetical. There's my eco housing, there's my NAR, and there's these other ones that I selected that Scott does not actually have, but I just wanted to show you as an example. Coming back to our site settings page, we just finished with certifications. Coming down here to social networks, this is a place where it doesn't require the http://facebook.com, whatever. I left these in the boxes here to show you there is no HTTP. There's no facebook.com. It just wants the part after the first slash in whatever profile that you're looking at here. No matter what the profile is, when you hit the first slash, stop, and then copy everything after that and put it in this box. If you need help finding the public social media profile links that you need to put in these boxes, send you guys over a class, link to a class where you can find those there. A couple of things to point out that are a little bit different on LinkedIn. After this first slash, there's a second slash. You want to include what's between the first and second slash and everything after that. Same for YouTube. Like I said, all of these want what's after the first slash. No matter what's after them, if there are additional slashes, include them. Anything after the first slash goes in the box. Same for LinkedIn, same for YouTube. Once you've got those put in there, you would again scroll to the bottom, make sure to click Save to apply those. And again, different themes are going to put them in different places. The Madison theme puts them up here at the very top left. And if someone were to click on those, they would go to your Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever it is. Okay, we just finished with social networks. Search form here is going to be different depending on the theme that you've chosen. If you choose the Madison theme, the only option you have on this page is the Omnibox with auto suggest, which is what most people want to use. It's exactly the same as the search box on Zillow or on Realtor.com or on KW.com, where you just type out what you're looking for. You can type an individual address, you can type a zip code, you can type a price range, you can type 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,500 square feet, fence, pool, view, and it would show you only 3 bedroom, 2 bath listings at 1,500 or more square feet with a pool and a fence and a view as selected in the MLS by the listing agent. So in most cases, this is just fine. You would just leave this alone or click next and click save. Now, if you want a different type of search bar where you want like drop downs instead of being able to type, you have to choose a different theme. So we're going to come back up to theme selection and we'll select the very first one that has something besides the Madison, which is this Plymouth here. I just went backwards. Then you can select a different color if you want to and save it. And now when we come back to whenever the page loads, when we come back to our search form here, we have additional options. We can still use the Omnibox if we want. All the themes can use the Omnibox, but then on other themes besides the Madison, we have these options here of doing drop downs instead. On this first page, you're just choosing which drop down is first: price, city, zip, or neighborhood. Price is most popular, that's why it's highest up the list. Once you select which drop down you want to be first, make sure to scroll to the bottom and click next. And then here you're choosing how many additional drop downs do people get when they get to the listing search page. After they search on the home page or when they click on here, how many additional boxes do you want? And we're going to give them all of the boxes, every box that they can get. So we're going to click save. And if I come back here to Scott's site and refresh it, we're going to see that new theme and that new search box, and we'll see what it looks like on the listing search page. So here's our new theme. It's the Plymouth theme. Here's that new drop-down based search box using price as the, first box here. It's a minimum price. So I'm going to do a minimum price of $125,000. Well, apparently it won't let me do that. There we go, $150,000. And we'll click search. So now that we're here on the listing search page, which if I were to click in the menu, it would take me to the same page. Now I've got these additional drop downs that we selected on that second page of the search box there. I feel like I need to pause at this point. If anybody, again, if you have questions, send them over in the chat window. Up at the very top of your screen, just to the left of center, you've got this little speech bubble button. If you click on that, that'll open up the chat and you can send me any questions you have. I like to think I'm thorough, but I also kind of hope I'm not skipping anything and moving too quickly for people to say, hey, I have this question, but I don't want to ask it. Definitely ask your questions. Okay. Back in our Placester interface, we just finished with search form. Let's come down to menu. Now, this is going to look different for you, most likely, than it does for me. Placester did an update a week or so ago where it's going to add a bunch of additional menu items here in your menu. Feel free to leave those menu items if you want. Most of them are like default dummy filler pages. They're just examples of what can be added to your site and to your menu. So in most cases, you're going to want to remove them. There's like a buyer resources page. There's a couple of area pages that were created. Those are going to be added to the menu here, and you can leave them there if you want, but in most cases, you want to remove them. And you just want to end up with these 5 to start with: home, listing, search, about, blog, and contact. Listing search now is also called properties. You'll see it labeled properties or listing search. It's the same thing. So you want to end up hopefully with these 5, but you can customize your menu any way that you want to. Once we've got that, down here in this drop down where we can select a new menu item to be added, we also want to add in your favorite listings. And again, on the new versions of the Placester sites, it may have that in there automatically, so you can just leave it. If it's not on there, click your favorite listings in this drop down here, then click add. So now we have a new menu button here for your favorite listings. This right here is a page full of, if someone creates an account on your site and saves properties, this page is going to list the properties they save. So this is your, as in the site visitor's favorite properties, not your, as in the agent's favorite properties. You would do that featured properties page that I talked about earlier that's covered in our Placester 201 class at slmtraining.com. Once we've got your favorite listings added to the menu here, you can actually click and drag to rearrange things. You can move things around by dragging them around. You just hover or carry your mouse from up and down and whatnot. Top is farthest to the left, bottom is farthest to the right. And then this your favorite listings button here, we're actually going to drag it on top of listing search. You see how that dotted line pops up around listing search while I'm holding the mouse button here? That means that when I let the mouse button go, your favorite listings is now indented under listing search. And what that does is on your home page, it creates a drop-down menu. If someone hovers over listing search, underneath it will pop out your favorite listings. And we're going to see that in just a minute. And then we're also going to come down here where we can select a menu button to add, and we're going to add a custom URL. You can link to any page on the entire internet in your menu using this custom URL option here. So you can link to your Facebook, you can link to your partner's website, you can link to your market center's website, you can link to Amazon, you can link to Google, anything that you want, you can add as a custom URL in your menu. What we're going to do, we're going to click the add button here, and we're going to turn this into a button that goes to your app download page, your personal branded KW app. So in this label here, you're choosing what it's going to display in the menu, what it's going to say for people to click on. So I like to use, what did I like to use? Search homes on, the Go free. Some people complained about that. They didn't like it when I did that, so we changed it to download my app or free home search app or download the KW app or something like that. You can put whatever you want to in this label. It's up to you. Under that, for this URL, this is another one of those that does require the http://. And I'm going to show you where to find the exact URL to put in this box because it is individual and different for each and every agent. So we're going to come back over to our MyKW homepage. MyKW should still be open in this other tab here. Here's Placester, here's us, here's MyKW. Back on your MyKW homepage, in your eEdge control panel, right in the top center is My Marketing. And then just to the right of that is a plus sign. If you'll click on that plus sign, then you'll click on Manage eAgency Website. Don't get hung up on that website where the site was retired about 3 years ago. There is no more site here. It doesn't function. It's not supported. It messes up. Don't use it. But this interface still exists for this one express purpose. The KW app is still administered through this interface. So when you click on that eAgency website button there, it'll take you into the eAgency system. This isn't something I'm going to be able to show you here on the screen because Scott doesn't have access to it. Only agents have access to it, and Scott is not an agent. He doesn't have that role. So we're not going to be able to show that to you, but it's actually very easy to tell you what to do. Once you're in the eAgency interface, over on the left, you've got section 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.0. You'll click on section 4.0, and then you'll click on section 4.1, Mobile Property Search. On that page, if it's not already selected, select your market center name in that drop-down that's at the top. And once you select that, immediately below that is going to be a link that says https://app.kw.com/kw . That is your personal, individual, unique, 100% completely yours app link. So you're going to copy all of that. You're going to copy the full http://app.kw.com/kw blah, blah, blah. You want that whole thing. Highlight it and copy it. Once you copy it, we're going to come back over to our Placester interface here, and you'll paste that into this box right here. And it's going to look something like that. This part right here, this KW12345, that's going to be unique to you. Each and every agent section, this right here, is different. Now, there's not a way to customize this. Unfortunately, it has to be exactly this. So copy and paste what's in eAgency here. And then under that, we've got this tooltip. This is optional. This is just saying when someone hovers over this menu item in the menu, do you want a message to display? So I'll show you what that looks like. And then, like I said, this is optional. You don't have to have this. Once you've got all that in there, we'll click Save down here at the bottom right. And if I come back to homepage on the site here, we've got that new menu item here, Search Homes on the Go Free. And as I leave my mouse cursor hovered over this, you see that little box that drops down under my cursor. This is a tooltip. Self-explanatory, that is a tooltip. So you can have a tooltip or not, it's up to you. Now if I click on this menu item, it's going to take me to the app download page. And it's telling me this isn't found because this isn't an actual app code. I forgot I was supposed to remove that. So let me go do that. Search Homes on the Go Free, remove that, save it. So now I got to go back and refresh the site again. And if I click on this, it's going to take me to the plain KW app download page. Okay, what have I done here? I threw in a dash in there somewhere. Okay, hold on. How did I do that? 3 times the charm, eh? Okay, refresh again. Now it'll take me to the KW app download page. And this is the generic one. Yours will have your name, your picture, your service area here in the center. This is just the plain KW app one that's not branded for anybody else or anybody in particular. Okay, under menu, we're in site info. Most of the info on this page is self-explanatory. It's your contact information and your office's contact information, but there's a couple of places where it's not quite so self-explanatory, and we'll go over all of it. This site title section here shows up on the site up here near the top left or the top right, depending on the theme that you've chosen. Oh, I forgot to cover one thing. Let's come out of site info here. I forgot to show you on search form, say you chose one of these other themes and you chose one of the drop-down based search boxes and you decide, no, I want to go back to the Madison theme and use the Omnibox. So you go back to theme selection, you go back to the Madison theme, you save it. If I come to Scott's homepage here, it's going to look kind of funny. Now I've got the Madison theme back, but it's still trying to do the drop-down based search box here in the center. And this is functional. So if you want drop-downs on your Madison theme, this is how to do it, but it looks really, really funny. This does not look good at all. So what we would need to do to fix this, to get it back to the Omnibox, is just go back to the search form section and re-save the Omnibox. And then once you save that and refresh it, now you've got the Omnibox back on the home page of your site. Ta-da! Okay, site info. So the site title shows up here. I gotta close this, this is confusing me. Here near the top left, it's pretty big and it's gonna have the site, the tagline or the site subtitle as it's defaulted in here as right below it. So those are gonna show up here on the home page and on every page of the site. So for the site title, typically we recommend just use your name, or if you're the lead agent on a team, use that team name or something. There does have to be something in this box. It can't be blank. So I'm going to do Scott Leroy. And then under that for tagline, this can be blank. You can leave this empty if you want to, but most times you're going to want to put in your slogan, your catchphrase, your mantra, your there's another word for it and I forgot what it was. But if you don't have one of those, you can just put maybe realtor in here. Make sure to use that registered symbol. Where was I? I can't remember. I'm going to put in a slogan here. So we usually put in here your local real estate resource or something like that. Don't put like your city name realtor because that actually isn't allowed. We got in trouble for that a good while ago. So we don't use realtor in this spot anymore unless it's just all by itself realtor. Under that, we've got a logo here where you can add your personal logo or your Market Center's logo. The plain KW logo is going to be in here by default. And if you want to find your particular Market Center's logo, we do have a class showing exactly how to find that. I'm going to send that over to you guys right there. You don't want to use select a KW logo because only about 60 offices out of about 850 have a logo in this section. So odds are your office will not actually be in this section. So you'll want to upload your own file here. Now, double check with your Market Center if you have your own personal logo and you want to put it in this spot. Make sure there's not a compliance requirement from your Market Center or from your state or from your MLS that says your Market Center logo has to be displayed on your site, because there's only a spot for one logo on your site. And if it has to have your Market Center logo on there, it has to be your Market Center logo in this spot. I had a question a good while ago where an agent thought that since there was a logo here and it still showed the upload file button here, clicking that would allow me to upload a second logo. That's not the case. If you click this button and upload a file, it will replace this logo right here. You can also remove the logo if you want to. Under that, we have the option via checkboxes to display these two boxes here, name and tagline, and display the logo. If you uncheck these boxes, they won't display. Check them, they will display. And in most cases, we do recommend leaving those checked. Under that, we've got a favicon. The favicon shows in one place and one place only. Up here at the top of your screen in your browser bar, it's hard to tell here, but there's a little stylized geometric P here for the Placester favicon. And we've got this red box with the white KW for the My KW favicon. That's where the favicon goes. It's tiny. Excuse me, it's exactly 16 pixels by 16 pixels. So this is not the place to put your picture. People are not going to be able to tell what you look like. They're going to be able to tell if there's a person. They have no idea who you are, what you look like, male, female, whatever. They can just tell this is a person here. So this is not what you put in this spot. Instead, say you have a logo and it's simple. Maybe it's just like a key icon or a home icon or a gate or a door or something like that. You can put that logo in this spot and it would show up pretty well there in the favicon spot because it's not very complicated. You can tell what it is when it's very small. In most cases, what we recommend is just using the KW favicon, which we have right here. And actually, I need to. Why didn't I already do this? Hold on. I'm going to go to a different place. We do have the favicon, the KW favicon logo for you to use. There it is. And it can be in a PNG or a JPEG format, and you can upload that in this spot. It used to take an ICO, and I don't know why that doesn't anymore, but it doesn't. So if you want this favicon, we can send that to you really easily. Just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Okay. Coming down here for contact details, this is the self-explanatory stuff. This is your name, your title. Now this title here is optional unless you're in the state of New York. If you're in New York, you have to have your title in here, which is real estate salesperson or real estate broker, one of those two. If you're in any other state, you don't have to have a title here, but you're welcome to if you want to. And we'll just put in the realtor thing there. Or actually we'll do something like that. Under that, this is your email and then your phone number. Now again, if you're in New York, you have to put sell in front of that. This has to be displayed on your site for compliance reasons. And then if you're in New York or California, you have to display license number. So we'll check this box here and we'll go later into my profile to update the license number in there. In fact, let's go ahead and open it now. Right click, open it in a new tab. And then on this page next to my profile, we'll click edit. And then down here at the bottom, you can put in your CA or NY DRE number. You do need to include the part that's CA or NY DRE. If you just put in the number, it's only going to show the number on the site, and it's required to have this additional stuff as well. So if you're in California or New York, you have to put that in there. And you also have to put your phone number in this spot as well before it will save. And you would click Save Profile, and that would show that on your site if you have this box checked. Moving down here, this photo, this is your picture. This is where you put in your picture. So I'm going to put in Scott. Placester class images. So I've got Scott here. Isn't he handsome? Okay, down here, office details, pretty self-explanatory. Keller Williams Realty. And then you can put your office's DBA name here. Again, if you're in New York is really, really picky. If you're in New York, you have to put your office's official DBA name in here, the one that's registered with the Department of State. It's usually like Keller Williams Realty and then whatever it is after that. So you have to put that in here. You can get that from your market center. For the office website, again, this is a requirement for, guess who? New York. So you have to put in the full http:// and then the rest of KW Southern Tier Finger Lakes.com. So you would put in that full address in the office website here. And then the rest of these boxes are common to everybody. You would just put in your office's phone number here. Now, one thing about this office phone and office email, when we're setting sites up for you, which is part of your Market Center subscription, we can set your site up for free, and I'll get you information about that in a little bit. When we set up sites for you, we put in your email address and your phone number. My personal feeling here is I don't want my office to lose out on the deal and lose out on the profit share that I could potentially get a part of if I'm on the other line, or if I'm at a showing, or if I'm brushing my teeth, or if I'm sleeping. So I want to put my actual office contact information here. That's my own feeling. That's not SLM's feeling. That's my feeling. When we set up sites for you, we put in your email and your phone number in this spot. Now, for this office email, it actually doesn't display on the site. Don't even know why the box is here, so you can just leave that alone. But if you're in New York, that office phone is required. Same for the address. You know, whatever it is, that's too long for a zip code. And then again, one last compliance thing for New York, you do have to check the box for display office name and display office address. Those have to be shown on your site if you're in New York. Down here for footer links, this is a newer-ish section. If your market center or your MLS or your state or something requires disclaimers or links to be shown on every page of your site, this is where you do that down in the footer, very similar to what's on eEdge. This is the most common for like Texas. In Texas, the Real Estate Commission requires that the information about brokerage services and consumer protection notice get linked on your every page on your site. You would do like Texas Real Estate Commission, blah, 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 on there, and then paste in the address of your IAVS. And if you need help with that, we can get that added to your site for you. Same for consumer protection, blah, blah, blah. And you would paste in the address of wherever your CPN is as well. And that would show on every page on your site. It does say that footer links only appear in the following themes: Beacon, Chicago, which are new. I think they're actually premium. Madison, Newbury, I think is premium. Plymouth, and Wilshire. So the only ones that you have access to are the Plymouth and the Madison. So you have to use one of those two themes if you're in Texas, or if you're in a market center or some other state that requires certain links to be shown at the bottom of your site on every page. Once you've got all that in there, we've got a couple of last boxes here. We've got our meta title and our meta description. Oh, I forgot to tell you, way back up here, for your Market Center's logo, if you don't know, if you don't have your Market Center's logo, if you can't get that from your Market Center, or if you don't want to get it from your Market Center, we actually have a class showing where to download your Market Center logo from inside MyKW, and I just sent you guys that link there. And then for this headshot here, let me save this real quick just to show you what it might look like on Scott's site. I can refresh this. Actually, I can cover that in a minute. We'll come back to it. I just got to remind me about the headshot if I skip it. Okay, back here inside info. These last two boxes here, meta title and meta description, these are SEO features. SEO stands for search engine optimization. This is how you can help your ranking on Google. That's the simplest way to put it. Now, this is not going to get you to the front page of Google. This is not a quick fix. It's not a magic button. It's not automatically going to put you at the top page, top of the Google front first page. That is a very long, involved, hard work process, and we can help you with that. We have some resources for that. We have free resources that I'm going to be sending you here for search engine optimization. Just sent you guys that link. What was I trying to say there? So we do have free resources for that. That is also a paid option that we have if you want to check out our pricing page, but you don't have to. It's totally optional. So for meta title here, this is going to show in two places. One is up here in the browser tab right next to the favicon that you upload. So it's going to show up here on the browser. It's also, if you were to show up in a search engine, be it Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever, it's going to be this blue link that you would click on to go see your site. So you're telling the search engine what to display here via this meta title right here. Now, one thing about this meta title, this is not an instantaneous change. It is instant up here in the browser tab, but on the search engine, they don't care that you made a change to your site. Your site is not a fraction, infinitesimally fraction as big as what am I talking about? Like Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that. Google barely registers that your site exists at this point. So it does have to go through the regular cycle of Google indexing every one of the billions and billions of websites that are out there. And eventually, in roughly 3 weeks, give or take, it would show that new SEO title there instead of whatever you had previously. Don't hold me to that 3 weeks number. It's very flexible depending on Google's system. What am I showing here? So for this meta title, you've got a limit of roughly, and this is an estimate, about 55 characters before, and yeah, we have to go to the second page now, before it truncates it with this ... here. And that's going to give or take 1 or 2 characters depending on which search engine that you're looking at, whether it's Google, Yahoo, whatever. So in this box, you want the most important, most specific information up front so that it doesn't get truncated by that ... It doesn't hurt anything with your search engine ranking if it gets truncated. It's just people won't be able to see it. So you want like your name at the very beginning, what your site is for, and then maybe your office name. And then a lot of agents, even up here at the front, like to put in their phone number so that people can call them without even actually visiting their site. So the good thing to point out is right about the edge of this box is about 55 characters. So this is roughly where it's going to start truncating so that you can get a little bit of a preview there. Here down in meta description, this shows just in one place on the search engine result itself. It's the gray text here underneath the blue search engine link. And you have about 3 times as much space here before it truncates it with that ... You've got about 155 characters here. So you can be a little bit more verbose, but this is not the place to list meta tags, quote unquote. So you wouldn't do like homes for sale in Orlando, property for in Orlando, real estate for sale in Orlando, blah, 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 blah. The same thing over and over, you just change 1 or 2 terms at a time. This is not the place for a comma-separated list because it is showing to actual real live people who see you in search engine results. And if they just see comma, 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 the same thing basically over and over, they're going to go, what? And they're just going to skip right past you. So instead, what this is supposed to be is a helpful, human-readable description of what's going to be found on your site before someone actually clicks on that search engine result. You can use tags in here. You just want to use them in line with everything else. You want to use them in human-readable language. So something like Scott Leroy, that's a tag, is your local resource to buy, that's a tag, sell, that's a tag, rent, that's a tag, or invest, tag, in real estate, tag, in, let's see, Winter Park, Winter Haven, and so Winter Park is a tag, Winter Haven's a tag, the greater Orlando area, that's a tag. And that's going to put us right about 100 characters. You can put a little bit more in there, but there are tags in there, but it's natural human readable language. So if this were to show up in search engine results, they would be able to tell, oh, this is what you can do on this person's site, rather than tag, 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 tag. Search engines also don't care about meta tags. They used to about 10 or 11 years ago, but that is ages ago in internet time. They want this, Google wants this, YouTube or Yahoo wants this to be human readable language that actually relates to the content that's on your site. And if you want to learn more about content, which is king in SEO, you want content on your site, check out that SEO challenge that I sent you guys there. So let's save this. Come and refresh Scott's site so we can see what it looks like. Theoretically. Oh, okay, that logo that I have there is white on white, so that's why it's not showing there. You can see where I drag it over this image. If this was red, it would show just fine. Okay, so we've got that new site title, that Scott Leroy, that first box on there. We've got this second box here, the tagline. We've got the logo that we put there. Over here on the right, we've got his name, his title, his license number, the email me link. Now this email me, it will not display your email address in plain text, and it can't say email us if you're a team. It will only ever say email me. If you want information about how that link works, if you click on it and nothing happens on your computer, send us an email. We can send you information about that. Here's that phone number there. Here's that Market Center name. And if you click on this, it would go over to that Market Center website, address, all that fun stuff. Over here is Scott's picture. Scott's picture is cropped properly for the Madison theme. But if you're using the Madison theme and in this circle it cuts off like the top of your head, you can only see starting at your eyebrows, we have a specific class for how to fix that. And I'm going to send you guys the link for that here as well. Okay. And then the office information shows, unless you check those boxes, you're in New York, that office contact information is all the way down here at the bottom. So they scroll past several ways of contacting you before they get to that office information. So they probably really are actually looking for office contact information rather than your information again. Okay, back here in our Placester interface, last couple of things to cover. Language we're not going to cover. It's useless. It's pointless. There's only 3 options here. Yeah, I don't even know why it's there. Auto-publish we can't cover because that's a paid feature. It's not included in your KW subscription. Lead capture is one of the most important things I can cover in this class, and I'm sorry that I have to leave it for the end of the class because a lot of people have to leave, unfortunately, I bet. But this is the point of your website. There are 2 points to a real estate website, 2 things it has to accomplish. One is it has to provide listing search, which you covered at the very beginning through that IDX connection, and then it has to provide lead capture capabilities, and this is where that happens, where you get the contact information of people that are visiting your site that are interested in properties or interested in listings with you. This is where you get those settings here. Your 2 options for lead capture, unless you pay for an upgrade package, are passively capture leads, which means they don't have to fill out a lead capture form if they don't want to. They only do it voluntarily. And then aggressively capture leads, which means they can search for properties, but as soon as they go to click on an individual property to view it, it pops up a lead capture form and they can't see the property without filling out that lead capture form. Neither of those is perfect. And if I were an agent, this again, my own personal opinion, you don't take this as gospel, but if I were an agent, I would definitely look into whether paying for that upgrade package would increase my business. Let me start over. The upgrade package that you can get from Placester lets you customize this. It lets you say after X number of listings viewed, then pop up the lead capture form and don't let them view any more listings. If I were an agent, I would definitely look into that. There are some other features that are included in that upgrade package that you can talk to Placester about. We don't have information about that upgrade package or pricing or how to sign up for it or anything. You'd have to contact Placester directly. But that feature itself would make me think about very strongly adding that to my site if I could. Down here at the bottom, we've got lead forwarding. This is the email addresses that are going to be notified when a lead comes into your website. You, of course, want to put in your regular email here so you can get notified right away so you'll see it. And then you want to do a comma. Has to be a comma, can't be a colon, can't be a semicolon, can't be a period, can't be an enter, you can't go to the next line. Has to be comma and comma only. And then we want to put in, if you've got additional team members, you can put them in here, comma, comma, separate them. Nobody's going to see this. This is not an SEO thing. This is just notifications. And then you also want to put in your eEdge email address so that leads that come from your into your Placester site will automatically get added to your eEdge database. So we're going to leave this here. We're going to go back to our MyKW homepage, and inside our eEdge control panel, we're going to click any of the links that would take us into eEdge. I like view contacts here. Eventually. Once eEdge loads, up here in the top right, we'll click on Account, theoretically, and then click on My Account. Let me zoom in so you can see. On this My Account page, we want the address that ends in @kwrealty.com. Not dot, we don't want the dot. We want this email address, whatever it is, at kwrealty.com. This is basically the only reason you need to know this email address so that you can paste it into this box. That is not, oops, I didn't copy it. This is not an email you're going to be sending and receiving messages from. This is just for leads to go from Placester into your eEdge database. So you want to paste it in there. And then we'll click Save. So now leads that come into this site will automatically go into your eEdge database. Last thing we're going to cover here in Placester 101 is the one that everybody's concerned about. They want their website address, and that's found here in Custom Domain. Right here is what your website address is. You'll notice there is no www dot at the beginning. That is incorrect to put www dot at the beginning of your site. This right here replaces www dot. www dot. You don't want to list that on your marketing materials, on your business cards, on your websites, on anything. This is the correct way to write out your website address. Just what's right here. No www dot. Now, if you don't like this first part here, if you want to change this, you can do that. You can change it instantaneously as often as you want, as many times as you want. Just keep in mind, if you do change it, the former address, what it was before, will not forward to the new address. So say Scott printed scottleroymarketing.kw.com on his business cards, but then he changed it to scottsimplysells.kw.com. scottleroymarketing.kw.com would no longer work. It would instead redirect just to the main kw.com homepage. So be very careful when you change this address, but you can do that. Over here on the right, using this edit link, you would just type in whatever you want to change it to. So like Scott Leroy, check availability, that is available. It turns green, I could save that, and that would be the new address for his site. If I typed something like Robert Greenstreet that I know already is applied to my site, it would say, no, this isn't available. Here's a couple of options based on your name for you to use instead. And you can select one of those and save it if you want to. I'm not actually going to save this because I want to leave it as Scott Leroy Marketing. And then this last part here, this .kw.com, this is only in the US. If you're in Canada, it's going to be .kellerwilliamsrealty.ca. Still, that no www applies. It's just going to be whatever it is listed here. And then lastly, if you have a custom domain, you went and purchased just, scottleroy.com or johnsmith.com or johnsmithhomes.com. You went and purchased that at GoDaddy or whatever other domain registrar that you're using, and you want to apply that to this site. You want for when someone types in that custom domain, they want to end up at your Placester site. This is where you do that. You would type in that full address in this box, and you would follow the step-by-step help articles to apply that to your site. Now, for most people, that's something that's a little bit daunting, something that they don't know how to do, and they don't want to follow those directions. We have a free service through your Market Center subscription where we can get that taken care of for you, and I just sent you guys the link for where we can do that. Once you've made any changes in this spot here, we'll click Save, and that would apply it. Okay, that's already taken. I'm not going to make any changes. I'll just click out of here and continue because I didn't change anything. What am I talking about? So that's it for our Placester 101 class. You guys stuck it through to the end, all 15 of you. Beautiful. If you have things to go do, definitely go about your day. Everybody have a great day.